We're with Shaun Micallef, who's got a book
That was fantastic.
Did you like Nikki?
Nikki was fantastic. I underestimated just how impressive that would be. Well done, Nikki, with
Very
2 Ks.
Now, Denise, you've got a question about the book.
I have. If we read this, will we feel better about death?
Wow. Well, you're considering it, are you?
Every day I am getting closer and closer.
You will feel good about this because it means that there is no death, really. It's all... one comes back. One comes back in the past. One comes back in the future. It doesn't really matter. You're always around.
If you could come back in any era, what era would it be?
Me, I'd come back in the... I reckon probably the 1920s. I would love to go to New York. In fact, I might as well just be reborn in New York to save the travel. Be reborn in New York and go and see the Marx Brothers on Broadway. That would be, for me, a real thrill. Yeah. It's unlikely to happen, but that'd be something I'd like to see.
And one of your favourite books is Puckoon by Spike Milligan, which is a brilliant book.
Yeah. Have you had Spike on the show?
No, he's dead, though.
Is he?
No, well, he's not. He's obviously here somewhere, but...
Yeah, no, it is one of my favourite books. I got to meet him many years ago. Because he used to come to Australia quite a bit.
He lived in Woy Woy.
He did. In fact, I think his mother might have lived here.
She did.
So she immigrated here. And he was signing his books at the local bookshop, and I was a student. I didn't have enough money to buy a book. So I just queued up, and we were in a play, Aristophanes the Frogs, and I said, would you mind, Spike, I'm sorry, I haven't bought a book, would you mind signing this? So he said, oh, yeah, all right. So he signed it, and he says, to Shaun Micallef, you cheap bastard, Spike Milligan. Which is a treasured possession.
Now, speaking of people that you really admire, you're currently doing a fantastic stage show that I've seen that's hilarious with Stephen Curry. Two comedians that you... do you put them in terms of looking up to them with the work that they did? Yeah,
well, I'd put... This is Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. I would put Milligan's the start of it all, really, with the Goon Show, followed by Cook and Moore, and that's a nice little bridge to get to Monty Python and everybody else. So they're very important to me. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of their stuff on video, and there's a little bit on audio, and there's Derek and Clive stuff, but there's the earlier... I think funnier stuff that is lying around, but unfortunately the BBC wiped all the tapes. So part of the purpose of this was to actually just get this out to a lot of younger people who perhaps have never heard of them. And the material, although 40 to 50 years old, Georgie saw it, still works really, really well.
Oh, there's one.
Do you do the three? The
when they do that, I just said to Shaun in the green room, my girlfriend, and I've got to say, just looking at this vision, the chemistry between you and Stephen Curry on stage is so palpable in the theatre. It's really magical. You can tell that you just work off each other so well. But there's one scene with that particular skit where I lost it for about 15 minutes with tears in the audience, and to a point of embarrassing, I said to people next to you, I'm just so sorry.
You have to explain that sketch, because it is...
It's a wonderful sketch. It's a classic sketch. It's called One Leg Too Few, and essentially a one-legged man hops into an agent and wants to audition for the role of Tarzan. And it is the perfect sketch. It's quite a short sketch. It only goes for about a minute and a half, but it is a perfect sketch. There's not one line wasted. Denise is obviously very familiar with it. In fact, you would have seen Cook and Moore come out here, Denise, back in the 70s when they were touring this very same show. The show got its run first in Australia. They tested it out here.
I remember that they used language on one of their tapes that they did, and we were just horrified, because it's language that's around now, but it was the first time I'd ever heard anybody, actually say it.
Well, this is a very clean show. This is not Derek and Clive. Stephen, when we asked him to do the show, he assumed that it was Derek and Clive material, and he said, yeah, I'll do it. It wasn't until after we signed the contract that it's the clean stuff.
It sounds like a hoot. Sounds unmissable. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Please thank Shaun. He's out. He's gone.
See you then.
See you, Ellie. The details of Good Evening, the sketches of Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, head to the Circle website. It's all there.